Thank you very much to the organizers for inviting me. It's such a great honor to be here. I'm from Northeastern University, and I also collaborate with the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM. So today I'm going to be talking about AI for workers. So digital labor platforms have been on the rise. And a problem is that these platforms are not transparent. So this is problematic because we have no idea what is happening inside the platform. So, for example, 75% of workers could be getting hurt on the job. But because we lack the data, we don't know that it's happening and hence can't really do anything about it. Additionally, the lack of data means that the platforms can easily manipulate work. How? Well, they can then say things such as, hey, you know what? If you continue working in the next hour, it's very likely you're going to triple your earnings. Oh, that's great, neat. But how likely is that? Is it 100% likely that they'll be able to triple their earnings? Or is it 10% likely? The lack of data means that the platforms can easily put a carrot on the stick for work. So I argue that in order to start to change this reality, we need, on one hand, AI systems that empower workers to have access to their own workplace data. And then we also need AI systems that can utilize the data and with the data help workers to have more empowering work experience. I also argue that we need to educate workers about AI. Why? Because if workers can understand AI, they can then negotiate with their employers about how they want AI to be integrated in their workplace, how they don't want AI to be integrated. Additionally, if they're able to effectively work alongside AI, it's more likely that they won't be displaced by their job. Today, I'm going to be presenting about how I'm creating these AI systems within these areas. So my research on one hand has focused on creating AI systems that allow workers to collect their own workplace data. Through this, I've been able to uncover that a large number of workers on these digital labor platforms are getting paid less than the minimum wage. They're also forced to do a large amount of labor for which they are not even paid for. And through this quantification, I have then been able to connect with policymakers. This is, for example, a senator in Massachusetts, to get them to understand the problems that workers are facing and then start to connect and question the digital labor platforms about how they are treating workers. Mexico's federal government also recently passed a law that forces digital labor platforms to have transparency. Now I'm going to be presenting about my AI systems that utilize this data for creating more empowering work experience. So we're going to be playing now a video. My AI systems have focused on one hand, on enabling workers. Right now, we're going to be playing this little video. So my AI platforms focus on
action.
Oh, maybe let's remove the sound. Perfect. So
Ghostwork A, I follow several key.
Maybe we can remove the sound of the video. Well, I'll explain it. So basically, what happens is my AI systems have focused on helping workers to complete a lot of the unpaid labor that they have to do. For example, one is organizing their schedules, creating cover letters, in which they have to spend so much time on, but they're not paid for. And then my systems also acknowledge that workers are likely not prompt engineers. They don't know how to effectively engage with AI. And so what we're doing, me as a computer scientist, we're creating interfaces that guide workers on how they can collaborate with the AI without them having to be these AI experts. And so through this, we're focused very much on enabling workers, empowering them to be able to collaborate and work with the AI for the tasks that are the most tedious for them, for the tasks for which they are not being paid. Let's go now on to the next slide. So this was just an example of a type of system that I'm building. And another thing that my research lab has focused on is creating culturally aware AI tools. So for example, Sister Helen was talking a lot about that we have a human nature, and something that is happening is that, for example, each culture has their own nature about how they're doing things. But unfortunately, Silicon Valley, the global north, many times forces people out of their comfort zone because they're forced to follow, for example, the cultural norms of Silicon Valley, of people that might be very different than them. And so what I argue is that we can create more empowering experiences for workers by creating AI systems that adapt to workers' culture. And basically the interfaces adapts to the background, the cultural background of the worker, and delivers through that recommendations for the worker. Through my studies, I've shown that by creating AI systems that adapt to workers' cultural background, we can significantly increase the salaries, especially the salaries of workers from the global south. And so what this tells us is that by focusing the design of AI to worker populations that have been traditionally left out, we can have much greater impact. And so following these ideas, I've been focused on now creating AI tools, for example, for rural workers, where I'm teaching the AI tools focus on teaching the rural workers digital skills so that they can access higher paying jobs, for example, now tech jobs. UNESCO recognized this research as one of the most impactful around AI. And so here I'm focused on populations that have been traditionally forgotten, which are rural workers. Another research project that I have is on creating AI-enhanced courses and tools for people who are leaving prison so that they can develop their digital skills and access tech jobs once they leave prison. Now we're going to see a video, the second video, and this is an incarcerated individual who is explaining AI concepts to other prisoners in a way that becomes much more accessible for other prisoners to understand, and also that this way prisoners can see, hey, this person is talking about AI. It's not something that just people in Silicon Valley can do. It's something that also I can do. And so we're turning the concept about being a tech worker into something that everyone now can do. And so we're making it much more accessible. So for example, here he's explaining this concept of supervised machine learning in a way that's accessible to other prisoners to understand. Let's go now into the next slide. Thank you. And so overall, in my research, I argue that in my research, I argue that in order to promote AI for all, we need on one hand to create AI tools that enable workers access to their own workplace data. We also need to focus on populations that have traditionally been left out. And so, for example, designing for the global south, designing for rural workers, designing for prisoners, returning citizens, we're much more likely to have impact. And so I'm very excited about collaborating with you all on these topics of AI for all. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's such a great honor.